With this are that there are no true subjective measures.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Mr. Budrick, we don't have any council members in queue, so I'll just, I guess, make my comments to you. But one of the things that we were also trying to do, to speak to Councilmember Bradford's point, is try to get better data from the complaints or calls for service that we do receive. Traditionally, a lot of those calls are cleared information, for example, so it's just a very broad clearance. It doesn't really speak to a specific issue. And as Mr. Sanders stated, it could either be a loud dog barking to mechanical to a number of things. So being able to really identify then, hopefully we could be more creative and proactive in trying to address those specific issues to that location.
Certainly.
And so I hope that's something that we could also continue to work on. And I appreciate your knowledge of the sound.
Absolutely. As a measure for taking that thing into accountability, I've discovered that there are intelligent measures out there scientifically. Just as this teleprompter reads every word I say, there are devices out there that can specifically pinpoint a frequency and a decibel level and let you know what that is.
Great. Appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Afra. To be followed, and it's Mr. K.A.T. Cattell. Go right ahead.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me today. My name is Omar Afra. I am a partner over at Fitzgerald's, been there for about 2 years. However, the venue's been there since 1977, featured James Brown, Stevie Ray Vaughan, R.E.M., the Ramones. It's definitely a piece of history in Houston as well. I am the publisher of Free Press Houston. We put on the city's largest outdoor music festival. We're convinced that music is part of Houston's heritage. It's a strong part of our makeup. It's what makes us great. As well, we think that the live music community can be good neighbors but still operate at the same time. There's just some fundamental problems that we have with the ordinance, the lack of objective criteria and objective threshold, particularly on the base end. We like to think that we're one of the venues that have gone above and beyond to try to comply and soundproof our venue. We've got small local bands and big touring bands that come through regularly. We have done everything from put in double doors to put in high viscosity glue between every wall. We have done sound baffling. We have sealed the place every last bit. However, this is a scientific problem, but the ordinance does not reflect how complex the science is to rectify this. So the most important thing is what has changed hasn't worked. We're actually at a place where more calls have been made more than this time last year. So this tug of war between the police, the residents, and the music community is continuing. However, now you're getting officers that under or overreact because of the ambiguity of the law. You're getting venues that take it as a license to be as loud as they want, and some that are just not operating at all. People are afraid to go out and work because live music is, it's fun, it's a great time, but it's a lot of people's livelihoods, and that's how they pay their insurance, and that's how they feed themselves, and we like to think that it's an important part of the city.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Thank you.
Mr. Afra, I know when this was passed, I know you had voiced your displeasure, and we had reached out to you and and had asked the administration to reach out to you. Did they do that?
To a certain extent, I hate to characterize it like this, but to a certain extent, it's what's the phrase? Crocodile tears. The revisions were made and did not include all of the stakeholders, the live music community and the bar community. So yeah, we were reached out to. Only after we kind of made a stink, unfortunately. But we're glad to have a seat at the table.
Sure,
now,
no.
We'd love, to continue the communication, which is critical
and I guess
to making move forward.
I guess that's my point. Not necessarily up to that point, but after. I hope that you at least been contacted or you've had an opportunity to give. I think one of the meetings was at your facility. For sure. And I know personally, I'll make sure that we continue to work and reach out to your group and listen to the concerns. Sure. It hasn't fallen on deaf ears. I think we all want to improve it, and we understand some of the setbacks that we've had with perhaps not looking at at how we can better utilize the technology and other aspects out there. So it'll be a work in progress. We hope to work through it quickly. Mr. Newport's here as well. We've Ms. Sanchez here in our office as well. So we'll make sure we're engaged with you and that we see what else needs to be done.
We appreciate y'all's attention to this. Lastly, you know, our intent is not to play as loud as we want. Our intent is to find a detente between us and residents who need to have a quiet night of sleep. We want to operate we want live music to persist, and we want people to get good sleep. So that's the promised land we want to get to.
Absolutely, I think that's a good point, and I think Houston does or can have a really strong, thriving live music community and attract visitors and Houstonians here as well that enjoy it. So want to make sure that we're trying to do the right thing. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Cattell, to be followed by Mr. Kahlberg.
Hello. I'd like to thank the mayor and the council members for giving me time to speak today. In regards to the noise ordinance that we've been speaking about, I am Omar's partner at Fitzgerald's and the festival. I've been promoting and producing concerts in Houston for 11 years. It was a hobby that became a profession. And, you know, I think in a way, the two side effects that come up with the noise ordinance amendments that are in place right now that I think aren't part of these discussions enough are sort of more on the human level. One being, I've seen the progress of Houston being a town that has developed into an attraction for touring out-of-town musicians to come play, which has an impact on our economy and our image as the fourth largest city. We're getting to a place now where we've got to apologize for the ordinance before the band unloads their gear at the shows that we do. I do shows on multiple venues in town, and I don't think that bodes well for the fourth largest city in the country to have to apologize to the band for the potential of them getting a $1,000 in tickets for performing their profession. Secondly, you know, the sound engineers and roadies and you know, bartenders and waiters that work at these shows are also citizens who pay taxes and have families to support and books to buy for children and clothes to buy to send kids to school. And they're getting to a place where they're afraid to work because they'll show up for a $200 paycheck for a night and walk away with a $1,000 ticket. And it's not that we want to play, like Omar said before me, that we want to play as loud as we would like to, or we believe it to be reasonable. We want a measure to stick by. Thank you,
sir. Your time has expired.
One moment, sir. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm particularly interested in this subject because District C includes the Washington Avenue corridor, as well as seeming most places that are having problems with the noise ordinance. So, and as was articulated by, I believe it was Mr. Afra before you, the issue is how to enable you to have a venue which is musically appropriate and sensitive to the clientele that comes into you, at the same time to the homes that are in back of you that have problems, as was said, making sure their kids can sleep, making sure that the bass isn't so loud that if you put your hand on the window, you actually don't need a noise meter. You can almost feel the bass. You know, in the vibrations. I wasn't here on City Council when the ordinance was put together, but I think, as was discussed, there are opportunities to look at being sensitive to both you and the neighbors, though. I mean, we've got to find that combination, and it's an expensive. I know that there were some elements that were discussed about how to test the sound, but this is all very expensive, so we have to be able to balance it all. We've got to be able to figure out how can we have the venues, and at the same time how the community can be protected. And I think the ordinance clearly tries to do that, but there may be opportunities to tweak it and to, you know, to be sensitive to the fact that your, you know, band members aren't being fined to the point where they can't enjoy their living.
Yeah,